Hi. Good morning. Hi, Oomph. Hi, Mr. Spunk. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. We're all in our places with bright, shiny faces. This is the way you start our new day. Jeff, father of rockers. The father of rockers. Hello. How is everybody? Good morning. Happy Monday. Is it Monday? It's Monday. Good morning. Yeah, I think I just need this extra 15 minutes. Hi, Neil with an I. I need this extra 15 minutes just to kind of become a human. Actually, it didn't work. Badger! Badger, badger, badger. Badger, 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 badger. How is everyone? I hope you guys are good. Happy Monday. I'm sorry it's Monday. I really am. Wait, we got to get our Monday graphic up. Hold on. We got rituals here, damn it. We got rituals and we like them. And that's it. Mondays and me, baby. And that's not a T-Rex. That's some kind of other icky Papadopoulos. I don't know what those dinosaurs are called. But I think it's like a ichthyo poppy plopodopoulos plop sore. Good morning. I'm enjoying my first morning off leave. Fucking yes. Oh my gosh. Lolo said, tell you hell yeah. And thank you very much for playing the music. My freaking pleasure. I'm honored to play the music. Tell him thank you. Thank you for letting me do that. I think it's great. I just really do. I really do. I really enjoyed the music too. I really have gotten more into like heavy metal as I've gotten older. Isn't that weird? What a weird thing. Like, wouldn't you think it'd be the opposite? I don't know. Anyway, welcome to Wake and Bake. I'm Lolo. I'm not baked nearly enough, but that's okay. We'll take care of that later on. And good morning. You like my glasses on my video? I look like a hot librarian. Oh, Neil, you're so nice. My glasses are broken though, so I noticed that I couldn't get them to sit straight on my face, but I needed them because all these articles. But anyway, thank you. I'll figure out. And I ended up being really close to the camera. That's not nice to put an older lady really close to the camera. But I didn't feel like changing it because I didn't really care that much. I mean, I cared, but I didn't care enough to actually change it and re-record it. So I'm like, all right, well, you just get to see my janky skin right now. Guess what? If you pay for my laser treatment, then it won't look so janky. Anyway, good morning. Happy Monday. What a weekend. Did you have a good weekend? I didn't. I'm. You got sleep last night, Paul J. Fuck yes, we love this. We love sleep. Yes, King. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I've been getting good sleep too. I'm telling you, I'm in the 1 milligram melatonin club. My daughter has gotten me into the 1 milligram melatonin, and I don't take it all the time, but I do take it every once in a while. Hey, I love seeing people say hello to each other. Do you know how happy it makes me that you guys just say hello to each other in the morning? And, I don't know. I just really love this. This is my favorite part. My favorite part is just seeing everybody do things. But yeah, I did for those of you who may not know, I released about a 15-minute video yesterday, just taking a few of the stories around one issue. In this case, it was the Medicaid proposed cuts that are coming down in Arkansas, and just kind of, expands into other areas where they're going to cut Medicaid. Not the most extensive, but I'm really just trying, because I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, nor am I a journalist, right? So I don't have like all the different sources, but I think at least if I focus on one issue, it can get out some links that are really helpful, because what I find is it's really helpful for me to have like a few links of factual information so that if I do have to discuss like what's going to happen to Medicaid, then I have a general idea of what's happening. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do one on the trans rights issues we've been following as well, and do that maybe today. And just record more of those where we could talk about the Sudan, we could talk about the Board of Peace, we could talk about Gaza, we could talk about, I don't know, we could talk about all the trans laws that are being passed against human rights. So that's what I want to start doing those for whatever they're worth. Maybe it's just for my own edification, but I really do. And thank you, Greg Oliar. And thank you, Gal Suburban, for sharing my post with Greg Oliar, who then was kind enough to share it with his audience, which is a huge audience. And I really appreciate it. So thanks. Thanks, friends. It's great to have friends. Hey, Joe. I was just listening to that song, Paul J. Yesterday in the car. Hey, Joe, where you going with that? Wait. Oh, man, it's a really hard little sequence. Hey, Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? Mm-hmm. Hey, Joe, where you gonna go? Where you going with that gun in your hand? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna shoot my old lady because she's messing around with another man. It's a great song. Really great song. And I was talking to Bobo about it. And I'm like, this is about someone coming home from a war and killing their wife because of post-traumatic stress disorder. Lolo, the spot you did about the flag shirt guy was great. I saw mentions of Root and the report in other channels too. Always ahead of the curve. I don't know. Thank you, Lee. You're so sweet. I don't know if I'm ever ahead of the curve, but I really do try to just. The U.S. health system just confuses the heck out of me. Oh, I'm sorry, Neil. Actually, that's great feedback. Thank you, Neil, because that means I do need to provide a little more context in those videos. So actually, thank you for that comment, because that actually was really helpful, because you're right. I totally didn't kind of, give a more focused, Oh, I posted our first try at Highway to Hell. It's a highway to hell. No stop signs, speed limits. Nobody gonna tap me around. Bow, 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 bow. That's quite a voice that guy has. That's a hard song. I mean, it's hard for me because I'm in the lower register, but yeah. But thank you, Neil. God, that's a really great fucking feedback. Thank you. I really appreciate that. We are on a highway to hell. I'll tell you that right now. And I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. I was gonna check. Actually, there's some headlines, and then I have other stories that I want to share. But something did catch my eye. Because we know. Oh no, thank you. But you know what though, Neil? It would be nice if I had content that would actually go beyond the United States. You know what I mean? Like it would be a little bit of an explainer, I guess. I don't know. I just appreciate it. Thank you very much. We're on the decoy plane to hell. J Rance got it. She knows the assignment. We're on the decoy plane to hell. Lee, gonna start errands. All right, girl. Have fun. Be safe. Hey, Joe. Oh, Riders on the Storm. God, I love the Doors. Oh my God, I love the Doors. I love Jimi Hendrix and I love the Doors. I'm going to tell you right now. That's great, Paul. That's so fun. You guys need to really fuck around with that. That's great. We're on the video road to hell. It's time to start errands. Yeah. Yeah. Was Caroline on the plane or not? I know, I've heard conflicting things too. Lee, literally, after the plane thing, I was like, "Is Caroline on that plane?" And then I Googled it, and it said, "Well, Caroline was invited." Caroline was invited, but I don't know if she was really on the plane. But she was on Marine One because they keep showing that. Yeah, they keep showing that. Sorry, my lips are dry. My lips are dry. They keep showing her on Marine One. I love the Doors too. It fits my voice. That's so great. Riders on the storm. Into this house we're born. See, I even sound like Jim Morrison. Oh my god, sorry. I do though. It's probably true. It's probably true that I sound like Jim Morrison. Anyway, yeah, happy Monday. Happy Monday. I hope this week is better. I don't think it's going to be, but that's okay. Let's see. What do we got? I don't even know. It's like I'd love to be able to just sit here and spout off what the headlines are, but I don't even know what the headlines are because I can't keep track of all this shit. I can't keep track of all the shit around me. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza for you and me. Let's see. Oh, Paul, I love that little heart. All right, let me tell you a story. Let me share a tale of things. All right. Blup. Oh my God, where'd I go? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait, hold on. I gotta just, oh man, it just doesn't want to. Okay, well, you know what? Maybe that's actually the best position for it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Damn highway to hell. On the highway to hell. I'm on a highway to hell. Now I can't stop singing. Thanks, everybody. I love you guys. Thanks for coming today. All right. Well, here we go. Trump is siding with North Korea. Thank you, Paul J. There's one of the headlines. That's ridiculous. That's totally ridiculous. Yeah, I saw that yesterday, and here's the thing. Can I just say, oh God, I have a hair on my lip. An errant hair on my lip. Can I just say, yeah, she did have her baby. If not, I wonder if the GOP would have counted other unborn fetus as a person if the decoy play was shot down. I don't know. But so we got stairways and highways. Yeah, we got them all. Hi, peace, love. How are you, sweetheart? Good morning. Good morning. Wait, what was I saying? Oh shit, man. Okay, well, anyway, it'll come back to me. No, wait, it was something. Oh, the North Korea. Oh, this is my point. Again, I'm going to make the same point I always make. So feel free to mute me if it's something you've heard way too many times. But when the media realizes that all of this has been indeed to shift America away from whatever city on a hill fantasy was painted by pretty much everybody in the country, or enough people. Yeah, I know they're gonna fast track Gaza. I also want to talk about the settlers in Palestine right now. I have a piece that I can show us, but yeah, I never hear the media absolutely get to the point where, gosh, was this intended to take down a democratic republic and bend it to your will? I mean, when are people gonna say that's actually what is happening? Is that through all of this, through the trade, issues, through the unnecessary wars, through the the kidnapping, through the extrajudicial murders to grab land, right? With the aim of grabbing resources and land in different parts of the world. When is the media going to actually call a thing and say, this is a rogue regime? This is not a democratic republic regime. Um, how much other countries hate us. I mean, I don't, I think other countries hate us, but they hate what the government is doing. I mean, obviously, I mean, maybe they hate Americans too. I mean, I guess I wouldn't blame anybody, but at the same time, I think other countries may understand that what's happening in this country is unusual by any standard. And I just wish that I could hear from press more of a, "Boy, this seems really intentional." Like, these aren't just, overshots, right? These aren't just, weird, bold strategies. These aren't just, kind of whatever. Does that include Canada? I mean, I don't know. Maybe Canada doesn't. I mean, at least we get some Canadians in here. They still like us a little bit. Yeah, MAGAs, yeah. Yeah, no, they definitely and I could see and I see it a lot with countries people in other countries who are like, "America's crazy," and I get it. I get why they say it. I'm gonna be honest, because this guy was voted in twice, okay? So, talk about a self-inflicted wound. I could see where other countries go, "Well, you guys let him take power, like, what the fuck?" So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not looking forward to it, frankly, because here's what I see. Yeah, US scions, except for the dimwit tourist who expects snow in August, but we dislike the US government disrespect. Of course. We don't like the US government's disrespect. So, yeah, I think it's that. I think other countries recognize that there's a certain percentage of the US population who did not vote for this and has fought to try and take it down. But also I understand if countries are like, "Oh, man, that country, they voted that in twice." I mean, I can't even explain that, to be honest with you. I can't really explain why we were so stupid, why we didn't get it, but, c'est la guerre. Um, anyway, so, speaking for myself, yeah, I think it's I mean, I guess we gotta prove them wrong, I gotta clean my igloo. But speaking of assholes, Trump administration live updates. Kushner holds talks with Netanyahu on Gaza. Here we go again. Here we go. And Gaza has been continuingly oppressed by this douchebag and his little friends. A lady in Mexico was telling MAGAs to vacation in Nebraska. That's a great idea. How about Kansas? If anyone has seen the U.S. trade delegation's initial proposals to candidates, you can see how disrespect is part of Trump's MO. See, that's it, Neil. Yeah. Oh, it totally. Oh my God. He doesn't even have respect for anybody. And he doesn't save that. He doesn't save that for anybody, but he just gives it to all of us. God damn. Neil, don't say that. It could happen. Don't jinx us. Don't jinx us. You'll never convince me that either of those election wins were legit. I know, Maxie. I know, girl. I don't believe it either, but I can't prove it, so I'm not gonna try. Um, anyway, alright, Jared. He went to Jared. Jared Kushner. Uh. Jared Kushner, president dumps senior aide and son-in-law, met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And Jared Kushner, who does not have an operating security clearance, he got an exception from Daddy in an effort to, which under what Democratic presidency would we allow people without security clearances to access confidential, top secret information? Where? What Democrat would have done that? God, I'm telling you right now. I'm sorry. Prove me wrong. Democrats generally play by a set of rules. Republicans go, I'm going to poop on those rules. Right? Thought it'd be formal today. All right. Okay, so let's see. Jared and Jared's brother just bought the fucking LA Lakers. Did he buy the Lakers? I don't even know. Yeah, the Lakers. And also, Jared's brother is the one who helped co-found Oscar Health? I think Jared's brother, Josh, is going to be, unfortunately, someone we have to deal with when it comes with whatever they roll out to replace Medicaid or whatever Medicare. I have a feeling it's going to be Josh Kushner's companies that benefit. If not, I'll eat my hat. Damn it, Jared wants to be important. Oh, he's definitely important. He's made himself important, and he's very rich. So Jared Kushner is in meeting with Netanyahu in Jerusalem in an effort to break a logjam over Mr. Dump's plan for the future of Gaza. Mr. Kushner met with Hamas leaders in Egypt on Sunday. Well, that was your chance, fellas. What the fuck? Jared set up Khashoggi. He's an evil person. Yeah, Jared needs to go to prison like his fucking father. Good morning, Stephanie. How are you? Happy Monday. Yeah. Okay. He met with Hamas leaders in Egypt on Sunday. What the fuck? Oh yeah, I know. Okay, just calm down. You're gonna get it. Oh wait, where's my other? Oh wait. Oh, I see. It's just the updates. Okay. Hi. I want to read more. Oh, there we go. All right. Oh my God, I hate this kid. This is not. No one voted for this. No one would choose this. I wouldn't hire him to wash my toilet. What in the world are we doing having a Kushner in charge of people's lives? What the fuck? We got to revolt over this Epstein class, y'all. We have got to. Oh my God. I need the comeuppance before I die. Can we do that? I need to die knowing these people are not going to hurt anyone else. Yeah, log jamming in Jerusalem. We're log jamming. Jared Kushner, President Dump's son-in-law and close advisor with no security clearance, met with Hamas leaders in Egypt on Sunday. Good job, fellas. 2 Hamas officials and another official briefed on the meeting said, if I was rich, no one would ever see me. Yes, Jeff, that's right. I would be out of here. I'd be sitting on a beach. That's what I would be. The talks were part of a diplomatic push to advance Mr. Dump's plan. Who cares what his plan? I hate this stuff. You know how I hate this stuff. A U.S. official confirmed that Kushner was in Egypt for talks on Gaza without providing further details. All 4 officials spoke on the condition of anonymity to detail Mr. Kushner's meeting. Oh, I totally would. I would start a huge foundation. I know exactly the foundation I would start. I've already planned this in my head. But I would be on a beach. I definitely would have Kushner clean my toilet. If he did a good job, I'd give him a brush. Yeah, use your mouth, Jared. I'd eat a lot of lettuce. I got the wait. What is that song on TikTok about the I eat the lettuce at the Taco Bell. If you haven't seen any of those TikToks, you're not missing out. I mean, I just said it for you. I eat the lettuce at the Taco Bell. And now I got that taco smell. It's a terrible little song, but it's actually pretty funny. Anyway, it's a good one, Jay. Yeah, I'd have a lot of bad diarrhea if he had to clean my toilet. Okay. Mr. Kushner's visit to the Middle East comes as the U.S.-backed plan to disarm Hamas has appeared to hit a dead end. Shocker. Last month, Mr. Dump announced that his board of Ps had reached an agreement with Hamas that aimed to strip the Palestinian group of its weapons. Well, I guess, again, he lied. Do you think he lied? I don't know. I think he lied. I ate the lettuce at the Taco Bell. So I have therapy counseling this morning and actually don't feel like it's urgent for a change. Fuck yes. Yes, dude. Yes. I love this. I love this. Yeah, right on, Paul. Good luck. I just found a fly in some ISO honey and I'm curing for fuck's sake. Uh-oh. What happens? Did the fly get high? I ate the lettuce at the Taco Bell. Okay. Prime Minister Netanyahu, war criminal of Israel, later said he rejected the deal, appearing to put it on ice after the meetings with Hamas on Sunday. Kushner was expected to travel to Israel to meet with Netanyahu to discuss the situation. Direct talks between the U.S. government and Hamas, which the United States has designated as a terrorist organization, were once where? Yeah, what happened with we don't negotiate with terrorists? Do you remember that? I remember that. I guess these guys do everything that everyone else said never to do, and it doesn't matter if they do it. Shoe fly. I cannot remember that song. Shoe fly, shoe, da 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 da, shoe fly, shoe. Maybe that's not it. But the Trump administration broke that taboo. It's you holding multiple talks. Oh my God. My nose is itchy. I'm gonna kiss a fool or have a fight. Wait, I'm so sorry. I kind of lost my shit here. Holding multiple rounds of negotiations with the group to win freedom for the hostages Hamas seized in Israel and to end the Israeli military campaign in Gaza. Though Mr. Kushner does not hold an official U.S. government position and has no security clearance, which means he can see whatever he wants, I guess, and just do whatever he wants. He's not going to be held to any. He can sell secrets. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Though Mr. Kushner does not hold an official U.S. government position, Mr. Dump tapped him alongside real estate developer Steve Witkoff to lead diplomacy on matters as diverse as Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the Israel-Hamas war. Disarming Hamas is a key component of the president's 20-point plan for the Palestinian enclave. Anybody ask the Palestinians what they would like? And could we also stop killing them? Can we get some aid in there? Can we actually see that there's humanitarian progress being made there? Because I have seen nothing. And all the only stories I hear are still ones where people are being shot and famine is raging and there are no hospitals. I mean, that's what I hear. That's not living. Arrgh. But many Israelis are skeptical of the Trump administration's proposal and say it's unlikely to compel Hamas to give up its weapons. For the deal with Hamas to go ahead, Israel would also most likely have to agree to a phased timeline for withdrawing its forces from the Gaza Strip in parallel with Hamas gradually handing over its weapons. Mr. Netanyahu has been loath to do so, demanding genuine disarmament before any Israeli withdrawals. Analysts say the Israeli prime minister's position reflected the country's hawkish turn after the Hamas-led October 7th attacks that ignited the 2-year war in Gaza. I still question who actually did those started those attacks. Yeah, I have questions. Mr. Netanyahu's efforts appealed to voters ahead of national elections this fall also were a factor, they said. Neither Mr. Kushner nor Hamas publicly discussed their meeting in Egypt. Hamas said a delegation of senior officials led by HELIUM Hamas's political chief had arrived in Egypt to meet with mediators and guarantors of the Gaza ceasefire talks. The group said it was committed to Trump's peace framework, which it accused Israel of undermining by continuing to bombard the enclave despite the truce. Yeah. Israel has escalated militarily on the ground and deepened the humanitarian catastrophe, even as it explicitly rejected the roadmap, Hamas said in a statement. You know, it might be easier if we actually identified people and not just said Hamas. I don't know. We don't tend to humanize anything, and so it's easy to hate immediately. Now, granted, Hamas has done some terrible things. I'm not saying I'm into that, but I'm also one that steps back and questions, okay, so if Hamas is filling a need in that community, what is that need? And how do they get it without feeling under attack? Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with Mr. Kushner to discuss the Gaza peace process, among other issues, according to a statement from the president's office. Why is this man doing our diplomacy? Why? Why is that okay? Why is someone who doesn't even have a fucking job with the government doing some of the most sensitive diplomacy discussions in the world? Now, granted, I know that all he's doing is sealing some deals. That's really all he's doing. He's making sure that Dump, etc., get their piece of the pie. That's what Jared Kushner is there for. He's not there for peace. He's not there for anything. He is an agent of the Israeli government, and he merely wants to inflict as much pain on Palestinians, and he wants that land. Kushner is a fucking real estate guy. This is what happens when you put real estate people in charge of important things. That's what Witkoff's another real estate guy. It's total shenanigan greed, and it's just out there. And this is where I'm like, I'm still shocked by this. Years later, I'm still shocked. A fly is better than cat fur. Yeah. Or you just smoke the cat hair. I mean, come on now. Who gives a shit? It all burns. It's all right. Flying the RSO, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? These poor kids on this fucking carrier. Oh my God. The top admiral acknowledged the difficulties facing sailors above. Yeah, one of them jumped off the fucking ship. You think? Fuck these guys. I did want to, I know. I don't care what Blanche says. What Blanche says means as much as what I wipe my ass with in the morning. All right. I wanted to also, wait, there was one other, let me just think about this before I move on, because otherwise I'll forget about it. Okay. It was the story about, shit. Oh, it came to me while I was reading something else. No, I don't. I don't actually. Sorry about that. I don't. I hate it. You're a hot grandma. Anyway, what was I going to talk about? Because it was another story that I hadn't pulled up a story on. Shit. Okay, it'll come to me. That's all right. Let's see. Let me go to there and there and there and there. There. Okay. Wow. Okay, that's like a little too much. All right. Okay, bye. Yeah. Goodbye. You're a little too much. I'm sorry. How do you know about Uranus? How did you know? Did you see they're putting Tina Peters in charge of registry of voters in Shasta County? Okay, we got to go up to Shasta County because that's one of my favorite places in the state. And if these fucking assholes are taking over Shasta County, I need to go up there and dinosaur it up because this is not going to stand. I'm not having them take over part of California, and especially not a beautiful part like Shasta County. Fuck that shit. We've got some loungers up in Shasta County, man. I don't think I can't get up there and figure out what to do. God, that makes me mad. Oh my god, that makes me mad. I'm so mad. I'm so done. I feel like we just yelled and yelled and yelled and nobody ever cared. And people laughed at us. They laughed at me. They laughed at me thinking, "Oh, you're being just too, conspiratorial. You're being too this, you're being too that, you're being too this, you're being too that." I know. I think so too, Jay. And that makes me so incredibly sad. I can't even fucking tell you. They're going to ruin that. They're going to be drilling on Mount Shasta. No. Yeah, I'm just so tired of this fucking world. Actually, they laughed at us, but now we're back and hotter than ever. I mean, are we? I don't feel like that. I'm not hotter than ever. I'm the same old not hot. I'm the cold fish over here. But that's okay because somebody's got to be that. All right, this is from France 24. Like a very never before seen thing. Yeah, exactly. Iran offers a $30,000 bounty for killing or capturing U.S. soldiers. The Iranian military announced on Sunday it would be offering a $30,000 reward for killing or capturing of U.S. soldiers, with the bounty doubled if conducted by a woman. That's weird. Check the chat. So hot. Oh my God. There have been no known deployments of U.S. ground troops in Iran during the war, except for a rescue mission carried out in April. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I get it. I'm not gonna lie. I get it. Iran's military announced on Sunday that it was offering a bounty equivalent to $30,000 for killing or capturing U.S. soldiers, with the reward being doubled if carried out by a woman. Army Chief Amir Hatami said the plan had been drawn up following a large number of requests to participate. Is the Iranian army having a recruitment boom just like the US Army? Yeah, I know. We got you. There's been no known deployment. Okay, that's really not. Hatami didn't provide any details on where or when the killing or capturing. Well, hello, duh. Anyone who kills or captures and hands over an invading American military personnel will receive a reward. I mean, I feel like this would have been in place anyway. Hatami using an informal equivalent to 10,000 Iranian rials. Courageous Iranian women who carry out such action will receive double the reward. I don't get that. Hatami repeated Iran's call for the U.S. to leave the Middle East, said they no longer have permission to enter the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, and the Strait of Hormuz, or the Hormone Straits. The war between Tehran and Washington began on February 28th when the United States and Israel attacked Iran. Where's Israel? Just over a month into the war, the U.S. launched a massive rescue operation to retrieve a weapons systems officer off an F-15, involving around 200 U.S. troops and more than 170 aircraft racing to find the airmen ahead of Iranian forces. During the rescue, Iranian troops damaged an A-10 ground attack aircraft, which was ditched over friendly territory. The U.S. reportedly abandoned and destroyed aircraft used during the mission, including a C-130 transport plane. Wait a minute. Didn't Trump get really mad because the government decided to leave certain equipment, decommission it, and leave it in Afghanistan? Didn't they get really mad about that? I remember that. And so now you're telling me that we did it too, or they did it too? And I guess it's okay when they do it, but it's not okay if Joe Biden does it? I don't understand. Days before the pilot of the F-15 was rescued by a helicopter crew in a smaller operation, the war was later paused by an April. Okay, so that's all. Thank you. That's not really helpful. The number of U.S. military personnel killed since the start of the war stands at 17. I think it's 18, actually, with the most recent deaths in July. They've all been killed outside of Iran in countries including Jordan and Iraq. All right. So a quick update on what's going to happen. Na 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 na. We have a little sip of coffee. There was another headline that I really wanted to read something about. I can't remember what it was. What happened to the war? Was it paused? I think they're still fighting. I'm pretty sure they're still fighting. What does that mean? I don't know what paused means. I think they're still fighting. All right. I wanted to read this. No, I didn't get it from someone. Puerto Rico is rationing water it could have avoided by harvesting rainwater. This is a Wired piece from yesterday? No, it's from the 15th. 15th? Yeah. Yeah, August 15th. The island could capture billions of gallons of water a year if it implemented systems to catch it as it falls from the sky. So, okay, all right, I guess we'll find out. Puerto Rico is experiencing a historic drought that led to water rationing. Hold on. Mm, mm, mm. Following the driest month on record in July, yet one ready made solution is barely being tapped: the normally copious rainfall. Anywhere from 30 to 169 inches of precipitation falls on the territory annually, but the government doesn't require citizens in Puerto Rico to install catchment systems to take advantage of the free resource, unlike some other island states. As climate change increases the odds of more intense droughts on the island, that type of decentralized infrastructure may be just what Puerto Ricans need in an emergency. One of the best unused reservoirs of water in Puerto Rico are the roofs of the houses, says Fernando Abruña, a partner at a local firm, Abruña and Musgrave Architects. The drought has exacerbated a water crisis that was already in motion due to ruptured water pipes and other decrepit infrastructure. For the past week, Puerto Rico Governor Jennifer Gonzalez has ordered municipal governments to shut off water 2 days at a time for people in the Northeast to conserve local supplies, leaving 180,000 households with limited access. Yeah, the problems began well before that, though. Many families have been without consistent water for more than 100 days. Yeah, what do you mean, but the government doesn't require it? Wouldn't you just provide it or encourage it? I think it's that there is rain, but they're not, they don't have the same like runoff or other things that other countries have. And so I think it is typical to catch water in different areas when you have like same thing with Africa. You know, you've got the rainy season, but then you also have a lot of not. Yeah, 2020 hindsight by Wired. 2020 hindsight brought to you by Wired. I know. Teresa, good morning. I know. Can we rewind and scrub it forward? What does that mean? What does that mean? Um, yeah. So it can both things can be true. I know it seems like it can't, but it can. La la la. Many families have been without consistent water for more than 100 days. This is an American territory, okay? There's no way that these folks should have to struggle like this. There's just no way. Their infrastructure should not be decrepit. It should be addressed by the American government, who has taken them over as a territory and thus has responsibility for making sure that they have infrastructure. While the drought is a factor, the biggest issue isn't a lack of water. Here we go. We're going to get some explanation, Stephanie. I have a cistern in the basement. I never run out of water, even when there's a drought. Oh, interesting. While the drought is a factor, the biggest issue isn't a lack of water, says environmental lawyer Ruth Santiago, but rather the government's mismanagement of it. Even with the climate crisis and these droughts, we still have abundant water, said Santiago, who works with the local group Comité Diálogo Ambiental in the Environmental Dialogue Committee. We could be harvesting rainwater right now, she says, as a storm erupts mid-conversation. The most resilient harvesting systems rely on gravity, using gutters to divert rainwater from a roof to a canister that connects to indoor pipes like a faucet or a shower head. Bigger systems can help collect water to cool power plants and other industrial uses. Albruña, who is also a fellow with the American Institute of Architects, estimates that the island could gather 30 billion gallons of water a year if just 1 million households used rainwater collection technology. The average resident uses 62 gallons a day, amounting to just over 72 billion gallons of residential water use a year. The Puerto Rico Aqueduct and Sewer Authority loses about 60% of the island's drinking water before any arrives at customers' homes due to leaking pipes and failing infrastructure. 60% of the island's drinking water is lost because of leaking pipes and failing infrastructure. More than half the water. The ongoing emergency was caused, in part, by a series of ruptures in the 72-inch super aqueduct water pipe, a main artery that services major cities on the northern coast. Repairing and updating the island's aging water distribution system is most urgent. Santiago says, but rainwater harvesting is a cost effective solution that can be quickly implemented. The practice is not widespread in Puerto Rico, where the government has prioritized centralized grids fed by fresh water, but these systems are popular in other island communities. Roughly 90% of the homes in the U.S. Virgin Islands have a cistern to collect rainwater, and the territory has building codes that require many new developments to include this infrastructure. Barbados has similar codes. In Hawaii, Honolulu County even offers a limited number of free rain barrel installations to residents. There's nothing that can help the Caribbean region as quickly and as reliably as rainwater harvesting, said Farah Nibbs, an assistant professor at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County's Department of Energy and Disaster Health Systems, noting government should treat it as part of a national water supply. She also says government should help cover the cost to avoid putting onerous economic and financial burdens on households. Yet in Puerto Rico, the government offers no incentives or financial assistance. That's left to small organizations attempting to meet demand. Since 2010, local environmental nonprofit Plenitude Puerto Rico has donated and installed 73 rainwater harvesting systems for neighbors uh, in Las Marfas, a mountainous municipality on the western side of Puerto Rico. Executive co-director Owen Ingley estimates that the technology costs the group 500 to 2,000 for small, simple units and up to 5,000 for larger, more advanced ones with electric pumps. There are also additional costs to maintain the system, especially if a bad storm damages it, and to monitor water quality. The team recently installed a unit for a man in his 80s who lives alone and regularly experiences disruptions to his water supply. The system doesn't provide drinking water, but it helps him meet other household needs, such as flushing the toilet or filling his dog's water bowl. He's a really sweet and talkative guy with gray hair and big smile, Ingley says. Jose Perez Cordero, an at-large legislator in Puerto Rico House of Representatives, introduced a resolution in June that would order the Puerto Rican National Resources Committee to conduct a feasibility study on rainwater harvesting. That would include looking at how other Caribbean islands have made it work and adopting similar models for Puerto Rico. The proposal has gone nowhere, even as water insecurity mounts. Why do people do this? Why do why do why do why do governments not step back and see, "Oh my god, we should be." I mean, because I'm gonna guess that there might be, I don't know what the philanthropic support is for Puerto Rico. I'd be interested to scope that out and see, like, who gives money to Puerto Rican, agencies and stuff like that for humanitarian and stuff. So I guess I would kind of wonder, where is the philanthropic community? Because Puerto Rico to me is such a it's very contained, right? It's a little island. So why couldn't you take that as a billionaire and completely revise their infrastructure? It would probably cost a few maybe 100 billion, I don't know. But to me, there are people like Bill Gates and, what's his name? Warren Buffett and other people who literally could write that check. Literally. And the entire country could have their fucking water system redone. Why don't we do that? Oh, I know why. It's because we want people to die. I get it. More for me, less for you. We are right now in the perfect moment to do it because we're in the middle of a crisis, Perez Cordero says. Sadly, we always wait for the reaction. Yeah, money. But I mean, these guys, I don't know. It's just been a big boondoggle, I think. He points to a 2024 law that mandated all public agencies to implement rainwater collection systems on government buildings. That too has gone nowhere. Agencies aren't following the law, nor is it being enforced. I would find out why it's not being followed, right? Like, what is the barrier for people to put the rainwater collection on there? It's probably money. Nor is it being enforced. Perez Cordero's new Progressive Party is in power, but he says his peers have often lacked the political will to be proactive and prioritize the environment. Well, and people's health. I mean, water is health. Rainwater harvesting won't solve all of Puerto Rico's water problems, particularly in urban locations where it's hard to install them in large apartment complexes. They also aren't sustainable if the wet season isn't rainy enough, a prospect that's likely to increase as burning fossil fuels heats up the planet. But that doesn't mean they can't play a role in shoring up a dysfunctional system. Facing climate change every year is going to be harder, Perez Cordero says. Every year, the dry season is going to be longer. Every year, the rainy season is going to be harder too. So, bad times. What is that? I don't want to. Speaking of, I ate the lettuce at the Taco Bell. FDA travels to Mexico a month after linking Taylor Farms to cyclospora outbreak. This is our great regime at work. This is from August 14th. Senior FDA officials confirmed that inspectors were on site at the processing facility and plan to be in the fields next. Haven't we been doing this for like a month? Okay. Former artillery range is now a marine preserve. Oh, occupying the artillery range. What? Wait, I missed it. Oh, I see what you're saying. Puerto Rico. Okay. Sorry. I got it. I caught up. I ate the lettuce at the Taco Bell. All right. Sorry. Food and Drug Administration investigators traveled to Taylor Farms operation in Mexico for the first time this week to start inspecting the facilities linked to the largest cyclospora this week. How long have we been pooping? Wait, missed that transition. What's that mean? Um so they only showed up a month after we've had fucking poop lettuce like for a month and they just now are going to investigate? Is that what I'm understanding? FDA investigators traveled to Taylor Farms operation in Mexico for the first time this week to start inspecting the facilities linked to the largest cyclospora outbreak in the U.S., according to 4 people with knowledge of the matter who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they're going to get real mad. Well known for a bioluminescent bay. Ooh. I don't think I've been to Oh, no, I have been to Puerto Rico when I was very young. Very, very young. Well, I was in high school. My mom and I went on a cruise when I was getting out of high school. Oh, I love my mom. To a while to hire and train them. I don't know what that means. Donald Prater, the FDA's acting deputy commissioner for food, confirmed in an interview Friday that inspectors were on site at the processing facility and plan to be in the fields next. Oh, well, that's convenient. Given the scale of the outbreak, food safety experts and some former top FDA officials said the agency should have gone to Mexico sooner than nearly a month after the officials publicly connected the company's shredded lettuce to an outbreak that has sickened nearly 10,000 people and killed a few. Most ICE conscripts aren't already able to do. Yeah, exactly. We're going to have the ICE agents do it. Though Mexican officials in the company have conducted their own testing on the farm, some food safety experts worry that the conditions may have contributed to the contamination, or excuse me, the conditions that may have contributed to the contamination are gone, complicating investigative efforts. The company suspended all production on that facility on July 18th. Prater said the lettuce that sickened people was probably grown and potentially contaminated weeks before any illnesses were detected, adding that the parasite's long incubation time adds to that delay. The FDA tried to reconstruct conditions that existed when the lettuce was actually being grown and harvested before sending investigators into the field, he said. That includes gathering information for tracing the product back to its source and examining historical weather patterns and, increasingly, satellite imagery, as well as obtaining testing supplies and laboratory space. If you just go out the door and do an investigation without having this information, without having the knowledge of where the products actually are, where the products actually likely grown, then you could actually not use your resources as effectively as you could. I don't even know what that meant. His comments reflect the FDA's latest account of the investigation. Okay. He said agricultural water is historically a potential source of contamination for cyclospora and that the FDA is looking carefully at the available data to be able to understand what could have happened. At least 3.1 million pounds of lettuce linked to the farm have been recalled, compared to the largest prior cyclospora recall of nearly 31,000 pounds of parsley last September, according to a Washington Post analysis of FDA enforcement data. Ideally, as soon as the FDA traced it back to the source, they would be out there working with the facility specifically working with Taylor Farms to do a root cause analysis so that we can understand what happened, said Barbara Kowalczyk, the director of George Washington University's Institute for Food Safety and Nutrition Security. That's what's really going to drive prevention going forward. Thanks, Barbara. Mexican officials conducted a sanitary inspection and a visit to Taylor Farms processing facility from July 18th to the 20th. According to the Mexican government, lettuce and water samples collected tested negative for the parasite and other contaminants, and an assessment of workers' health conditions didn't find any red flags. Prater said the parasite is exceedingly difficult to find in large volumes of samples or large volumes of product. He said the number of samples required to have confidence in locating a pathogen with that prevalence are really significant. It's possible to test a lot of samples in contaminated product and still not be able to find it. He also said the contamination can be unevenly distributed through a large batch of food, so a sample taken from one portion may test clean even when contamination is present elsewhere. Buy local food. Yeah. Did Jim Nalgren come in? So Trump apparently thinks governors are prime ministers and prime ministers are governors. They use human poop as fertilizer. Who uses human poop? Jim. Taylor Fresh Foods did not respond to a request for comment about inspections by Mexican authorities or the FDA, but on its website, the company has said its own testing of approximately 2,000 samples taken in central Mexico since May has returned 0 positive results. True, a lot of places, unlikely an FDA-inspected supply line, if inspected, yeah. Nationwide outbreaks of cyclospora this summer sickened people in 47 states, hospitalized 740, and resulted in the deaths of 2 people in Michigan, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The specific outbreak involving shredded lettuce from Taylor Farms de Mexico has now been linked to 17 states after Maine and Massachusetts were added on Thursday. And here is where they are. Reported cases are the darker pink, and the lighter pink is outbreak linked to shredded lettuce sourced at Taylor Farms de Mexico. So there you go. There you can see where you land. But pretty much these are the only 2 states that New Mexico and whatever that is. Was that Idaho? No, that's Idaho. What's Montana? Mexico and New Mexico and Montana were the only ones who said, we're not eating any of that lettuce. Fuck you. I eat the lettuce at the Taco Bell. Not just Taco Bell. Not just Taco Bell. At a certain point in our traceback, it started to appear that all of the convergence was focusing on iceberg lettuce, Prater said. At that time, we thought iceberg lettuce could explain many or most of the cases. And then we looked to see who was the supplier of the iceberg lettuce. That's how we identified Taylor Farms as the likely source of the outbreak. Taylor Fresh Foods, I actually hate the Taylor salads too. I'm sorry. I don't like them anyway, so it's a good thing because I don't eat them. Has said federal officials first provided data potentially linking its lettuce from central Mexico to cyclospora on July 15th. And a month later, they decided to go down there and take a look. They don't use human poop as fertilizer. Stop it. The companies raised legitimate scientific questions around the government's assumptions, methodology, and cluster analysis during a call that day with the FDA, CDC, and health officials in Michigan, the hardest hit state. The next day, the company said these questions were discussed again with government officials, including from the FDA, the Department of Health and Human Services, and the White House. Later that evening, federal officials announced that shredded iceberg lettuce served at some Taco Bell restaurants had been linked to the outbreak and identified a single unnamed supplier in Mexico. Well, Taco Bell says thank you. On July 17th, Taylor Fresh Foods publicly announced a recall. It said was broader than the lot suggested by the FDA's investigation. The company said it followed specific food recall communications protocol reviewed and approved by the FDA. The FDA said distribution of recalled iceberg lettuce products from Taylor Fresh Foods from June 29th through July 16th was confirmed in 31 states. It can be used. I know that. I know it can be used, Max. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it. Not everybody uses it. It's not widespread. Jim Nalgren. Jim coming in with the crazy stuff again. Development working friends in both South America and South Asia worked at discouraging human waste as food crop fertilizer. Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Na, 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 na. 3.1 million pounds of lettuce is the same weight as almost six statues of liberty, 25 Boeing 737s, 13 blue whales. That's a lot of lettuce. Yeah, they weren't in Mexico though. Yeah, nor in the U.S. supply line. Yeah. I mean, I know from living in West Africa that there's a lot of practices that, you know, are can be normal in those situations, but aren't necessarily the best for containing disease, basically. Let's see. Even as the investigators try to determine how the lettuce became contaminated, the scale of how widely the recalled products traveled after leaving Taylor Farms' Mexico operation is becoming clearer. FDA enforcement records show recalled products were packaged for 9 food service and retail operations, according to FDA data. They show 236,192 cases of products sold in dozens of configurations, ranging from bags of shredded and chopped iceberg lettuce to salad mixes that combine iceberg with romaine, carrots, and red cabbage. Some were sold under Taylor Farms or food service brands, while others were packaged for particular customers. Me, 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 me. Earlier in the outbreak, Cisco, one of the world's largest food distributors, Walmart, Jack in the Box, and Taco Bell, said they immediately removed products as a precaution. But FDA enforcement records indicate other recalled product was packaged for Subway and Yum brands, which owns Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut. Cross Valley Farms, owned by U.S. Foods, Marcon, and Peak Fresh Produce, a performance food service brand, were also named in FDA records as potentially impacted. Well, there you go. The poop letters continue. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's see. I think I'm going to do that last. I'm going to do that last. I think this was shared by someone in the lounge. Wait a minute. Oh, wait. Let me go through these first. I'm sorry. Oh, damn. I can't get that. Okay. Forget it. I don't want to get a Bloomberg subscription, but Bloomberg does have some good reporting. I'll say that. Let me see how long this is. I don't know. I have a story about Vivek Ramaswamy, but I'm not sure it's all that interesting. I mean, it's the stuff we know. I'll do this one. Okay. Poop jalapenos. Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. I forgot about the jalapenos. COVID's coming back too. Let's do it all. Of course it's coming back. I mean, let's okay. All right. All right. All right, people. Calm down. Calm down. Effing egg. I ruined some deck shoes once at a resort. The water backed up and the bar staff fucked off. So I jumped over and did a Tom Cruise cocktail impersonation. The staff came back and told me it's sewage. Oh, that's terrible. Dun 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 dun. I would have loved that. I would have loved your cocktail flipping in the midst of poop water. Oh well. Oh well. We used to have a guy who would come. He was one of the dads of one of the girls at the school in West Africa. And he wanted to cook for the staff, he wanted to make meals and stuff like once in a while. And so he would come and make these meals and he would and delicious. And he would cook shrimp. And one time I'm like, "Where did you get the shrimp?" And he's like, "The river." And I'm like, "The river? You mean the sewage water that goes out to the ocean from that river?" Yeah. So I ate poop shrimp, I'm sure. a few times in Africa. I didn't get sick. I didn't get sick. State judge tosses charges against false electors in Nevada because we are never going to have nice things. And election integrity is back to slap us upside the head. This is so bad. It was the latest setback for prosecutions of GOP allies who aided Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. There's basically the rule of law here is very opportunistic, I think. Let's see. A judge in Nevada has this is from a couple days ago, Kyle Cheney reporting for Politico. A judge in Nevada has thrown out criminal charges against 6 Republicans who falsely claimed to be presidential electors for Donald Trump in 2020, concluding that state prosecutors failed to show that the 6 false electors acted with intent. Give me strength. To defraud election officials. Quote, the state failed to present sufficient evidence from which a reasonable grand jury could infer the requisite intent to defraud. Clark County Judge Mary Kay Holthus wrote. Mary Kay, calling the evidence presented by prosecutors at best minimal. Holthus sharply rebuked the case brought by Attorney General Aaron Ford, and it is the latest setback for the prosecutions aimed at GOP allies of Trump, who aided his effort to overturn the 2020 election results. Ford indicated he intends to appeal the ruling. The district court's decision is once again wrong, and we will appeal the Nevada Supreme Court, just as we did when the court first dismissed our cases against these defendants. God bless you, Mr. Ford. Ford said in a statement, my office will continue to work to hold these fake electors accountable for their actions, which attempted to undermine our democracy and erode trust in our elections. And they did it. Criminal charges against Trump himself, brought by special counsel Jack Smith, as well as county prosecutors in Georgia, were tossed after he won the 2024 election. Cases against those who falsely signed certificates claiming to be legitimate presidential electors have now been thrown out in Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, and Georgia. Can I also ask, have we actually seen Mitch McConnell in real life? Yeah, isn't offering yourself as an illegal elector evidence of intent? I know the scenario they're trying to explain it away, Neil, though. The way they're trying to explain it is, well, we were told this was just a contingency. We were just told this was a contingency. That's what their defense has been. So, yeah. Yeah. Same thing that Shay got before he died. Wait, what? Oysters were really big and good. I asked and found out they were harvested from a sewage outlet. Well, I mean, apparently that's where seafood really thrives. Apparently. Cases against those who falsely signed certificates claiming to be legitimate presidential electors have now been thrown out in Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, and Georgia. That's right. Because you can get away with crime now if you're a certain party. After Trump's defeat in the polls in 2020, he and his advisors grew increasingly desperate in their bid to find legal routes to overturn the results. In one last-ditch maneuver, the campaign organized slates of Republican electors to cast votes for Trump in 7 swing states that had been certified for Joe Biden. As the caveman lawyer said, your ways are strange and foreign to me. Yeah, really. Let's see. Many of the so-called alternate electors were told their votes were placeholders. See, this is their plausible deniability. Meant to be counted only if Trump prevailed in his lawsuits aimed at reversing the results. But as Trump's courtroom efforts failed, a close circle of legal advisors devised another plan for the false electoral votes, used them to derail January 6th session of Congress when lawmakers were slated to certify the election for Biden. The existence of those fake electors became a pretext to pressure then Vice President Mike Pence, who presided over the January 6th session, to declare Trump the winner or block Biden's victory. A slew of investigations into the events that preceded January 6th showed that many of those who signed the false Okay, this is not true. Okay, Politico, fuck you, Kyle Cheney. A slew of investigations preceded showed that many of those who signed the false electoral college certificates were not aware of the larger designs to use their votes to disrupt congressional session or pressure Pence. Bull fucking shit. Bull fucking shit. Yeah, Mitch is eating lettuce. Mitch got us everybody sick. They used Mitch McConnell as fertilizer. This is bullshit. They're not aware. They're not aware. Oh my God. I will hate Merrick Garland until the day I die. I will hate that man. I will hate him. He never even investigated the planners. Shame on you, Merrick Garland. Shame, shame, shame. God, this makes me so mad. They knew exactly. How dare you write this? How dare you fucking write this? How dare you? It's like, no. You know, I heard Heather Cox Richardson yesterday, or maybe it was a couple days ago. And she on her show was like, you know, they're going to try and fuck with the midterms, basically. And I'm like, thank you for saying that, because when I say it, people are like, oh, you're just bluing on, or you're just crazy, or you're just, you know, you're just being dramatic. No, I'm not a fan of Lisa Monaco either. Kyle Cheney, I don't know. It's probably just Kyle Cheney. I'm going to tell you, like, it's this kind of reporting that keeps us where we are, that keeps us exactly in the position that we are. Those people all knew. If you had watched right-wing media like I did during the time where all of this was happening, they absolutely fucking knew what they were doing, you assholes. It's almost like this country doesn't want to do the right thing. It's almost like they just, you know, like we just kind of react to everything. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. You know? What the fuck? Yeah, rich guy ordered me to rob a bank. I didn't know what I was doing it so he could buy a yacht, so I'm not guilty. Yeah, and fuck those people who called it blue anon. That's the dumbest thing. That's the dumbest insult on the fucking planet. God damn it, stop that nonsense. I don't give a shit. Oh my God, that nonsense makes me absolutely laugh. Anyway, so thanks, Heather, for saying that. Yeah, they will try to derail the results of whatever the midterm elections are. I'm really glad you're saying it. Thank you, because you know this is kind of like me. I love my brothers and sisters, but I was the youngest, and I was never always taken that seriously. Now they're very nice to me, but I was, as a kid, of course, being the youngest, I was not always taken that seriously. And this feels very much like that. Like you're a child that is not taken seriously. What? Bye, love. I love you. Cute. That's a cute outfit. Yeah. Be safe. Thank you. Yeah. I had a pet painted turtle as a kid. Found it while camping, kept it for a year and a week before we were to go camping. The neighbor's dog chewed it up. Oh my God. Oh God. That's terrible. That's terrible, Mr. Spock. Okay, let's keep going. A slew of investigations into the events. Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. A judge in Michigan throwing out charges against the state's false GOP electors suggested that organizers of the effort might bear responsibility, even if the individual electors did not. Oh, you think? I just fucking can't. I'm not, I don't fit in this world. Charges are pending, in Wisconsin against a key architect of the Electoral College Gambit, attorney Kenneth Chesbro. who's sitting in Puerto Rico right now at a bar with enough water, as well as two other allies who work closely with the Trump campaign. The case against Nevada GOP activists, including Chair Michael McDonald, not of the Doobie Brothers, was troubled from the start. Holthus had already thrown it out once, saying it should have been brought in a different district, but it was returned to her by the state Supreme Court. So she was wrong. Yeah, painted turtles are part of, or that's a name of a turtle. Yeah, poor old turtle. In her latest ruling, Holthus said that the state should also withheld key exculpatory evidence from the grand jury that brought the charges. Wow, she's a Trumper. She also noted that the false electors cast their ballots in public, declared their intent to preserve legal challenges, and did not seek to conceal their activities. She emphasized that no Nevada election officials believed the false GOP certificates were legitimate. The GOP certificate was not a document that could be legally accepted, filed, registered, or recorded under Nevada or federal law. Then what is it? Then what is it? If it's a useless piece of paper, Holthus, then what is the point of this? So clearly it's not. It is not a fucking, innocuous document. Oh my God. I just can't stand these people. A black mat on my painted turtle. Not true. Neil is so funny. Not true. I didn't do it. Not really. Not really. Okay, it's a manic Monday because we're all over the place with these stories, but I don't know. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to my show. I thought Teresa, didn't you share this helium stockpile story? Someone did. I don't know why my note isn't there, but all right. This is I know, poor turtle. Poor turtle. All right, this is from earlier this year. But it was pointed out that the helium reserve is bad. The US just sold its helium stockpile. Here's why the medical world is worried. I actually want to find if there's an update to this. Sorry, I should have done a better job on this. Helium, 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 helium. Wait, there it is. Here we go. Let's get this. Oh wait, actually, I want to do. What? No. Oh God. Oh my God, the privacy thing on here is ridiculous. Okay, bookmark. I don't want to. Okay, fine. Okay. Oh my God, because you're a member of this. Okay, whatever. All right, hold on. I'm so sorry. Boom, boom, boom. Wait, where's my? Oh, here we go. That's a little too particular. Okay, well, this might give us some. I want some more current, but we will go back to this. Hold on. Oh my fucking God! These fucking websites. All right, this I found. This is from Gas World. How'd you like to work? I work for Gas World. Anyway, it would eat raw hamburger. Oh, the turtle. They'll be lying and deceiving and then sitting in church on Sunday. Exactly. All right. So this is from 3 hours ago from Gas World, which I imagine is an industry-based periodical or something, website by Dominic Ellis. I'm not sure who Dominic is. As a global helium shortage continues. Oh, this is very hard to read. As a global helium shortage continues to squeeze hospitals, chip makers, and U.S. defense manufacturers, Liberty Petroleum Corporation claims a major oil and gas exploration this Friday position in Western Australia. What am I talking about? A gas exploration position in Western Australia may hold significant previously overlooked helium reserves. Liberty affiliate PetroQuest Australia holds rights to 5 contiguous exploration permits spanning more than 20 million acres in the Officer Basin. Dr. Stuart Lake, Liberty's chief consulting geologist, estimates the area holds a naked resource potential of up to 11 billion barrels of oil equivalent and 74 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Lake said the company, God, who uses the font like this? Who in the fucking world thinks this font is readable? It isn't. Check your GUI, gas world. Jesus Christ. The petroleum potential of this area is significant, and it's becoming clear the added potential for helium and hydrogen could rival the value of the oil and gas resource itself, said Lane Franks, Liberty Petroleum's co-founder, president, and CEO, who's already spending that money. The disclosure comes as the world confronts what analysts are calling one of the most severe helium shortages on record. In March 2026, Iranian missile strikes on Qatar's Ras Laffan industrial city damaged the Pearl GTL facility, a major source of the country's helium output. Qatar Energy has said the attacks cut the country's LNC export by roughly 17% and could take 3 to 5 years to fully repair. Qatar alone accounts for close to a third of global helium supply. Last week, satellite imagery indicated Train 5 had gone offline. The disruption also lands less than 2 years after the U.S. sold its federal helium reserve as a dog treat. The disruption also lands less than 2 years after the U.S. sold its federal helium reserve, the century-old government stockpile in Amarillo, Texas, to private industry in 2024. We did that! God damn. Helium has no... Why did the Biden administration do that? Helium has no synthetic substitute and is essential to MRI machines, semiconductor manufacturing, rocket launchers, and multiple defense systems. Helium cannot be manufactured, and it's a hidden choke point in a chip fabrication and a host of other technologies and weapon systems, said Trent Franks, Liberty Petroleum's board chairman and a former U.S. congressman who served as vice chairman of the House Armed Services Subcommittee on Strategic Forces. It is inseparable from America's national security. Where does helium come from? Liberty Petroleum and partner, it must come out of does it come out of the ground? I don't even know. Is it a gas in the ground? There's people here who know this. I know this. Yeah, freedom, patriot and freedom. Yeah. Liberty, patriot, freedom. Liberty Petroleum and partner Mangat Group, that could have been better, are now evaluating whether to extend the depth and scope of their planned petroleum drilling program to also test for helium. Oh yeah, it must be in the ground. Must be in the ground. When two balloons love each other very, very much. Helium trees. Okay, wait, what happened? What did I miss? With a lame leg, brought her in and fed and water. Oh. If we're able to confirm helium and hydrogen reserves at the scale we hope for, there is a footprint large enough to move the needle on a worldwide shortage, said Tony Mangat, president of that group. I can't say that name. Liberty's exploration strategy relies on conventional shallow well targets that require no fracking or directional drilling. The company is nearing completion of native title agreements with Aboriginal groups, a milestone that would clear the way for Western Australia regulators to proceed to full grant and drilling permits, which is sad. It's underground. We have lots in Saskatchewan and Alberta, but Dump doesn't need any. Okay. Sure. Australian exploration firm Gold Hydrogen is starting helium and natural hydrogen flow testing at the Ramsay 2 well on South Australia's York Peninsula, following testing of the first well in July. Australia is the world's second largest LNG exporter, shipping approximately 80 to 82 million metric tons annually. It operates just behind the U.S., which holds the top spot, and marginally ahead of Qatar. Yet curiously, unlike the strong ties that bind LNG and helium in the U.S. and Qatar, Australia is not a force in helium. I wonder why. Its only production plant, a BOC facility in Darwin, shut down late 2023 when the helium-rich Bayu Undan gas field depleted. Presently, any helium extracted as part of LNG mining is released in tail gases and into the atmosphere, never to be recovered. Hi, Michael. Yeah, Patriot Liberty Freedom is a good alt name. Yeah, that is a good alt name. Okay, well, there you go. We got a helium issue. Wait, let me just check back on this one. I want to see. Oh, this is yeah. You know, I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't remember this story. This is from 2024, y'all. This is the story of that selling of the helium stockpile. The Federal Helium Reserve includes over 400 miles of pipeline stretching from Amarillo, Texas to the panhandle of Oklahoma to Kansas. And this is January 25th, 2024, so 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. On Thursday, the U.S. government sold the Federal Helium Reserve, a massive underground stockpile based in Amarillo that supplies up to 30% of the country's helium. Once the deal is finalized, the buyer, which will likely be the highest bidder, the industrial gas company Messer, will claim some 425 miles of pipeline spanning Texas, Kansas, and Oklahoma, plus about 1 billion cubic feet of the only element on Earth cold enough to make an MRI machine work. So there was a shortage basically in 2024. Sale of the government stockpile, the non-renewable element, could exacerbate an existing supply shortage. A number of factors could trigger. Okay, I didn't need that. The sale has, okay, here we go. We'll get some background now. The sale has been in the works for more than a decade. Congress first mandated it through the Helium Stewardship Act of 2013. It was initially supposed to occur in 2021, but a series of delays, in part due to the same logistical and regulatory issues threatening shutdowns today, postponed the auction to Thursday. Sale of the reserve to a private party, as congressionally mandated by law, is not expected to meaningfully change the availability of helium. Oh, okay, thanks. There's a finite amount of helium on Earth. There's a finite amount of helium on Earth. So, excuse me, shouldn't we be trying to mimic helium so that we can create something that cools down MRI machines? Anybody working on that? Because I don't think I would ever operate something so important with something that was a finite supply. Yeah. With no helium, how will Trump's cabinet do those hilarious high-pitched voice jokes? Well, there goes their fun. There is a finite amount of everything on Earth. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, yes. But you know what I mean. Come on, you know what I mean. Like, I don't know. This is one where I would be a little more like, I got to figure out an alternate to helium. Keep my shit cool. But yes, I know your point's well taken. Oh, there's helium reserves in Russia. I guess this is before they found it in Australia. They would whiff Trump's gas. Okay, I'll link this so you have some historical, but that's really interesting to me. Gas world, gas world, gas world. It's a gas world. Yeah. Let me just check one thing, and then the Okay, I'm going to go to these next. I am a huge fan of M. Gessen. If you're not aware, they are a journalist who is a specialist on Russia and authoritarianism. Off topic, SCOTUS, E. Jean Carroll can keep Slumpo 5 million. Thank fucking God. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you, Max. Wow. It's a really weird world, isn't it? Oh. All right. So this is by M. Gessen. Again, a journalist who is Russian and knows the Russian history obviously very well, and is also a great study of Putin and does a lot of Putin based reporting. I want to read their book. I can't recall now what it's called. Ah, damn it. I had it just in my head the other day. But let's read this. It's going to take a minute, so just get your coffee. Let's have a little cup of coffee. It's a long article, but we're gonna read. This is their opinion piece rather on Kansas. All right. On February 25th, Siobhan Kirkstein received an official letter from the Kansas Division of Vehicles instructing her to surrender her driver's license. She was one of hundreds of Kansans who received such letters when Senate Bill 244, a hastily passed piece of legislation, invalidated driver's licenses on which the gender marker did not match the holder's sex assigned at birth. Additionally, please note that the legislature did not include a grace period for updating credentials, the letter said. This means that once the law is officially enacted, your current credential will be invalid immediately. The law was going into effect the next day. Kirkstein, who is 41, had transitioned in 2023. She had changed her legal name and her gender marker in the Social Security system on her passport card and on her Kansas driver's license. It required jumping through a lot of bureaucratic hoops. The name change alone required a court hearing and proof that Kirkstein had notified her bank, credit card company, landlord, and others. But it was worth it to make it official. There she is. Now, she considered disobeying the instruction from the Division of Vehicles. She went down some internet rabbit holes to figure out what the consequences might be. It appeared that if she was caught driving with an invalid license, she would be fined and sent to jail for 5 days. If caught doing it more than twice, she would face 3 months in jail. She'd heard that Kansas might be placing transgender women in men's prisons, and she feared violence, even rape. So while some friends wondered aloud whether the state was really going to enforce the new law, Kirkstein decided to comply. Ahead of getting pulled over, she asked a friend to drive her the next day at the Division of Vehicles located in a mall across from a Burger King and next to the Kaw Valley Bridge Club. She handed a clerk the letter she had received. Without looking at her, the clerk made a notation and sent Kirkstein to wait to be called. The next staff person didn't look at her either, just took her paperwork and a few minutes later handed her a temporary paper license with the M gender marker. Kirkstein started crying. As she walked toward the exit, she thought that she could see it in the faces of the many people standing in line. They'd gotten the letter too. "We apologize for the inconvenience this causes you," the letter said. Some of the words or expressions in this article may at first blush seem hyperbolic. One of them is fascism. That's how Kirkstein characterized the process when we met in Lawrence, Kansas in July. It was soft fascism. It was. Fascism usually begins with redefining the nation by excluding certain groups, which are branded threats to national health and unity. The Dump administration is fixated on two groups most of all, immigrants and trans people, in just this way, smearing us, I'm a member of both groups, as predatory, sick, at once subhuman, and terrifyingly powerful. Even before Donald Trump was elected for the second time, more than half the states considered or passed legislation limiting the rights of trans people. The process has intensified in the last year and a half, and the law enacted in Kansas in February is one of the most restrictive pieces of anti-trans legislation passed in any state so far. The law, Senate Bill 244, redefined gender to mean biological sex at birth and directed state agencies to revoke and reissue driver's license and birth certificates that had previously been changed to align with people's identities. It also directed all government and public buildings to designate multiple occupancy private spaces, bathrooms, locker rooms, dressing rooms, as reserved for one sex. Like the infamous 2021 Texas law that enabled ordinary people to sue any person perceived as helping someone get an abortion, SB 244 created a bounty system, allowing people in Kansas to sue for, quote, actual damages or liquidated damages in the amount of $1,000, as well as declaratory and injunctive relief. Anyone they suspected of violating the bathroom provision. With the possible exception of Lawrence, and even Lawrence is a stretch, Kansas is a place where a person cannot survive without a car, can't go to work, can't shop for groceries, never mind see friends or go to a movie. And let's talk about the bathrooms. All trans people are accustomed to some level of stress when it comes to bathrooms. Take me, a person fortunate to live in a blue state and work in a supportive environment. I prefer not to use the men's room to work at work, lest my presence discomfit male colleagues who know that I was assigned female at birth. And I prefer not to use the women's room, lest my presence discomfit women who do not know me and would perceive me as male. The New York Times building has many single occupancy bathrooms designated as gender neutral. They're on different floors than the one I work. And on a couple of occasions during high traffic times in the building, I've been late for a meeting because I was stuck waiting for an elevator. That's a minor inconvenience. Now take a trans person in Kansas. Matthew Newman, the executive director and until recently the sole employee of the LGBTQ Foundation of Kansas, told me that his organization had heard from one trans man who was fired for leaving the state building where he worked to use the bathroom in another building. Another trans man, who switched to using the women's bathroom preemptively, explains the law to anyone he encounters there, lest that person be startled by his presence. Imagine having to come out to strangers this way every time you have to pee. Alternatively, imagine being unable to use a bathroom outside your home. Then imagine having to choose between not driving because your license is invalid and outing yourself as trans every time you enter a club, buy an alcoholic beverage, go to a building where security personnel check ID, an office building, your kid's school, vote. Kansas is one of 10 states that require so-called strict photo ID to vote. Rent a car, check into a hotel, or stop for a traffic violation. Hi, TV2. How you doing? DNA test kits were found at the ICE facility. What does that mean? What are they testing for? Which brings me back to the word fascism. In 1938, Nazi Germany passed a law requiring Jews to add a specific middle name to their identity documents, Israel for men, Sarah for women, so that they could be easily identifiable. It would be laughable if one couldn't lose one's reason over it, the German Jewish linguist Victor Klemperer wrote in his diary at the time. I got the hint. I left. I met Olivia Perdue at a roadside Panera Bread not far from her home in Missouri, where she had moved a week earlier. Perdue laid half a dozen laminated ID cards on the greasy, glossy table in front of us. The VA thinks I'm a female. The FAA thinks I'm female. The Social Security Administration thinks I'm female. The state of Missouri thinks I'm male. A study by the Williams Institute found that about 21% of trans Americans have served in the armed forces, more than double the national average. How about that? She signed up for the Army right out of college in 2016, soon after President Barack Obama's administration announced a new policy allowing transgender troops to serve openly and to get gender-affirming care. She was out to all her friends but had not transitioned medically. The recruiter advised enlisting as a man and coming out once she was already in the service. The military had guidelines and established process for transitioning troops, and this process could require one to stay in one place for a year or more. Purdue decided to wait until after basic training, and then until after officer school, then until after her deployment. And then it was March 2019. She was in the woods in Poland scrolling through Reddit, and she learned that the Pentagon was going to make good on President Trump's 2017 promise to ban trans troops. Lieutenant Perdue had less than a month before the new policy went into effect. She got her official diagnosis of gender dysphoria just 2 days before the deadline. She started hormones in March 2021, but she told me I'd seen the writing on the wall. Yes, Joe Biden was by then president and things might change again. They did, but then they could change right back. They have. Purdue decided to get out of the military while she was still young enough to start a civilian career. She moved to Manhattan, Kansas, and enrolled in Kansas State University's aviation program. In February 2025, she received her certification as a flight instructor, but she had not considered that flight instruction is, as she puts it, a very public-facing job. Purdue's resumes got gets Purdue's resume gets her lot of first interviews. She has traveled all over the country for them, and she's learned to recognize a look. Their eyes kind of dim once they realize you're a trans person, she said. They seem to think that their customers will not want to learn flying from a trans woman who doesn't particularly try to pass, and at 6'4" probably couldn't. The one job she was offered in New Jersey paid so little that she couldn't afford to take it. Purdue changed her name and the gender marker on all her documents in 2022. In 2023, the Kansas legislature passed Senate Bill 180, which backers called the Women's Bill of Rights. It defined sex as biological and binary and decreed that female is an individual whose biological reproductive system is developed to produce ova, and male is an individual whose biological reproductive system is developed to fertilize the ova of a female. It was, in other words, an earlier version of an executive order Dump signed on the first day of his second term in office that was titled Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. Oh my God, that's so Nazi. The Democratic governor of Kansas, Laura Kelly, vetoed the bill. The legislature overrode the veto. Purdue didn't think the new law would affect her. It seemed like symbolic pronouncement. Then the state's attorney general, Chris Kobach, a longtime Trump ally, sued to bar state agencies from allowing the use of gender markers different from the sex people were assigned at birth. He claimed he was trying to enforce SB 180. A court temporarily granted his request. Purdue, meanwhile, moved into a new house and excitedly sent away for a driver's license with the new address. The license came back with the gender marker M. In 2025, a state appeals court reversed the lower court's decision. Purdue went back to the Division of Vehicles and got a license with the marker F, as on all her other ID cards. Less than a year later, the legislature passed SB 2244. Purdue got what trans Kansans refer to as the letter, the same one Kirkstein got, informing her that her driver's license would expire by the end of the day. It was 2:30 in the afternoon when she took the envelope out of her mailbox. She thought she was lucky that she had the day off. She got her new old driver's license with the M before the close of business. All this back and forth with the gender marker was absurd, and this is how Purdue experienced it, as ridiculous more than threatening. She had been living openly and happily in small-town Kansas for 5 years, and she didn't see that changing. But she was also going through a divorce. Purdue married when she was 22, the same year she joined the military, which required going to court. She pulled up a photo on her phone. It showed a bathroom door in the courthouse painted institutional yellow. A printed notice attached with blue masking tape summarized the bathroom provisions of SB 244 and warned, any violation of this law may subject the individual to civil and criminal penalties. It no longer seemed so ridiculous. Purdue moved in with her boyfriend, a trans man, in Missouri, but both of them realized that this is probably only a temporary solution. The problem is that Kansas is a kind of test case, she told me. It shows what's possible. Missouri, where Republicans hold both houses of the legislature and the state house, had considered its own driver's license and bathroom bills. The couple have been talking about moving to Chicago. In the meantime, Purdue is working as a caregiver and studying to be an airplane mechanic, a less public position in which she hopes she will be more employable. Some days are happy. On July 7th, I went to the Douglas County Courthouse in Lawrence to attend a name change hearing. The petitioner was a 36-year-old trans woman whose last name was Bainey and whose legal first name, which she wanted to change, sounded like a parody of macho all-American name. She was very nervous. She had been in a courtroom only once before for a custody hearing, and that hadn't gone well. She gets her 7-year-old daughter only every other weekend. The judge, Mark Simpson, had a kind voice. He asked a series of yes or no questions, establishing that Bainey was a resident of Kansas and had given proper notice of her name change. Bainey, wearing a flowy white and blue dress, fidgeted behind the podium. The judge signed her petition and said, "Congratulations. Congratulations, Tracy." Oh. Oh, there's her eagle. Nice tattoo. Later, Bainey emailed me about that "Congratulations, Tracy" line. That was so amazing. I hope I never forget it. As we left the courthouse, she exclaimed excitedly, "My mother's going to hate this." Bainey, who grew up with her mother in Nebraska, was around 13 when she was caught in the girls' locker room trying on someone's clothes. Things at home got tense enough that she ended up moving to Kansas to live with her father, a Trump voting, immigrant hating, gun toting man, and he became the center of her world. She enlisted and, as a gift from her father, got a large tattoo of a bald eagle wrapped in an American flag with dog tags around its neck. The low cut dress she wore to her name change hearing exposed most of it. After her father died 4 years ago, Bainey started therapy, began identifying as trans and bisexual, and began her medical transition. Now she says she's the happiest she's been in her adult life. She has found a community in Lawrence. She has a boyfriend who works as a custodian at the same large manufacturing plant where she works in maintenance. They take lunch together. It's hard to square that happiness and that name change hearing with the new anti trans law and the fear it has generated. I have whiplash, she told me. I had whiplash too. It's as if there are two Kansases. One of them is kind, loving Kansas, where neighbors accept one another and churches offer sanctuary to immigrants and create summer camps for queer kids. I visited such a summer camp outside of Wichita on the first day of its week long session. 97 middle schoolers and high schoolers with hair every shade of the rainbow and more sartorial finery than one might see at a prom had been delivered to Camp Sunflower by their parents, who placed the progeny's duffel bags in the designated pile and handed over their medication bottles and prescriptions to the designated staff members. Amanda Mogoy, a straight married mother of three who runs a Wichita clinic that provides care to some 4,000 trans people, was on hand to set up the orderly distribution of whatever antidepressants, ADHD medication, or hormones the campers had been prescribed. Mogoy's clinic had a decorative fish tank filled with figurines of queer mermaids, and every room features a mural of a queer hero: Elliot Page, Harvey Milk, Jonathan Van Ness, and the Obamas. When SB 244 passed, Magoy hastily organized a wedding in the clinic's lobby. One of the nurse practitioners was engaged to a trans man, and they wanted to marry in time to avoid his being marked as F on the marriage license. Now Magoy is running for an open seat in the Kansas legislature. Her slogan is Midwest Kindness, Real Solutions. That's pretty good. Camp Sunflower. Preach. And then there is Chris Kobach's Kansas. Kobach's website boasts that he brought the first case against the Obama administration over deferred action for childhood arrivals, representing immigration and customs enforcement agents seeking broader powers to detain and deport. He sued the Biden administration repeatedly and challenged vaccine mandates in court. Kobach served as Kansas Secretary of State from 2011 to 2019, and in that time, he instituted some of the strictest voter ID regulations in the country. I also want to say Teresa is the one who shared this article with me, so I really appreciate that. I failed to mention that at the beginning. Oh, yeah, let me link this in the chat. Actually, let me share the full article. This is a gift link, so it will be unlocked. Right. There you go, bud. I don't have a horse in the trans rights race, and yet I still look at the map of the U.S. and see a giant game of the floor is lava. Yeah. And then there is, okay, so we read that. Sorry. He sued the Biden administration repeatedly and challenged vaccine mandates in court. Kobach served as Kansas's Secretary of State from 2011 to 19, and in that time, he instituted some of the strictest voter ID regulations in the country. During the first Dump administration, he served as vice chair of the Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity, an early institutional effort to sow doubt about the integrity of our elections. As Attorney General, he's pursued a policy agenda as closely aligned with Dump's as any in the country. Anti-trans legislation has been a centerpiece. I knew it was coming because they do something like this every year, Abby Boatman, state representative, told me. Boatman was appointed to fill a vacant seat at the beginning of the 2026 legislative session. She is the only out trans person in the legislature and only the second trans legislature in Kansas history. The court ruling that blocked Kobach's early effort to prevent Kansans from changing their gender markers had come down after the previous legislative session ended. Now Republican state legislators used a maneuver known as gut and go, when the text of the pending bill is entirely replaced by something unrelated. The original SB 244 had concerned bail bonds. The Republican state representatives stripped that language and replaced it with a set of anti trans provisions, allowing legislators to drastically shorten public comment and testimony, leaving open, among others, the question of how schools and other public buildings should cover the expense of reconfiguring their facilities in the manner of the law required. I'm not saying that transgender rights is not a divisive issue, Boatman told me. I'm saying most Kansans don't want to spend millions of dollars to fix bathrooms that don't need to be fixed. Well, I actually think it is a divide. I mean, I think that that's their point, is using it as a divisive issue. This should be illegal. Like, it should be illegal that you have to cut out, if you replace it with something completely new, why does it allow you to shorten the public comment period? Why in the world? Why in the world? Um, I think we all have a horse in this race because this is human rights. And it's, yeah. I mean, I understand you might not have like trans people in your family or something like that, but it's definitely something that should be, this is like, this is completely Nazi Germany. I'm sorry. There's no other way to say it. There's no other way to say it. No other way. Okay. I asked Boatman how she was managing after the law was enacted. The Kansas State Capitol in Topeka is a grand 19th century building whose ornate frescoes, murals, and exhibits attract droves of tourists daily. It's also a public building that is subject to the bathroom provisions of SB 244. I have my separate but equal bathroom, Boatman said. The Capitol's one single occupancy bathroom, which doubles as a lactation room. So now you're pitting breastfeeding women against a trans woman, Boatman told me ruefully. At one time, there was a call of the House, a parliamentary procedure used to create a quorum. Boatman didn't hear the call because she was on a different floor awaiting her turn in the bathroom. Later, a fellow legislator called her out for having been absent. I was using the only bathroom this legislature has said I can use. The state capitol is one of the few major tourist attractions in Topeka. Another is Westboro Baptist Church, infamous for spewing hate against gays, trans people, Jews, soldiers, and many other groups, and for winning a 2011 Supreme Court case that secured its right to do so in audacious ways. The church displays hate messages in rotation on a giant marquee. I won't quote them, but if you hover over that, you'll see the URL the church uses. That's fine. I don't need to. Two houses stand across the street from the church, one painted rainbow colors of the LGBTQ flag, and the other pink, white, and blue, the color of the trans flag. Two visions of Kansas silently facing off day after day. Another tourist attraction in Topeka, less than 10 minutes drive from Boatman's separate but equal bathroom, is the building that once housed Monroe Elementary, the school at the center of Brown v. Board of Education, the 1954 case in which the Supreme Court ruled that segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. The building is now a museum managed by the National Park Service. It's a good place to learn about the long history of Kansas choosing what kind of state it wanted to be. In the 19th century, Kansas heeded the abolitionist John Brown's call to join the Union as a free state. After the Civil War, the black population of the state grew and grew, but it took a decision of the Supreme Court to end segregation in Kansas. For the purposes of this article, it seems important to note that winning argument in Brown v. Board of Education was likely to have been conceived in 1944 by Polly Murray, then a Howard University law student who would go on to become a leading civil rights attorney and a person who repeatedly sought and was denied gender-affirming care. I didn't know that. This is the bathroom in, what is this? Oh, this is the bathroom inside a restored kindergarten classroom at the Brown v. Board of Education. Interesting. I would like to go see that. Charles, who asked me to use only his first name, lives in one of those places in Kansas where the nearest post office is a couple of towns over, and the nearest town is a ghost town. Geographically speaking, most of Kansas fits this description. Charles grew up here. He lived out on the West Coast for 8 years. This was after he left the evangelical church in which he was raised. But 18 years ago, he returned to Kansas for family, chosen family, price of land, warm weather, thunderstorms, the night sky, the tall grass prairie, wide horizons, as he told me. The family relatives bit of that didn't turn out so well. He added later in a text message, but I still love the rest of it. He and his mother have barely spoken since he came out to her as trans in 2023, 4 years after he actually started his transition. But his next door neighbor is also his boss at the cattle ranch where he's worked for most of the last dozen years, is supportive, as are friends. The night before Charles went in to change his driver's license, he couldn't sleep. He got up and gave himself an extra short haircut. In the morning, he put on a t-shirt that accentuated his cattle rancher muscles. A friend drove him the roughly 30 miles to Emporia, where the division of vehicles shares a mostly deserted mall with a dialysis center. When it came time to take his picture, Charles scowled as best he could to underscore the absurdity of his face appearing on a driver's license with an F gender marker. Now he regrets changing the license. Charles had assumed he would get the letter because when he renewed his license in January, a clerk told him that his license had been flagged, and Charles figured it was because he changed his gender marker back in 2022. So when the legislature overrode the governor's veto, he texted his boss alerting him that he might not have a valid driver's license the next day. The boss told him to stay on the clock while he took care of the paperwork, the boss's small way of trying to make things better. But then days passed, and the letter never came, and Charles wonders if it ever would have. Fascism works not only by the passage of arbitrary, dehumanizing laws, but also by the arbitrary, dehumanizing enforcement of the laws. Only about 1,700 people have received the letter. This is certainly only a small fraction of Kansans who have changed their gender marker. Several people who have not yet received it, including Abby Boatman, the legislator, told me that they regularly check the state website to see if their old license still came up as valid. If so, is it safe to drive with it? The license is still illegal under the law. McGoy, who runs the clinic in Wichita, told me that some of her trans patients have received the letter 3 times, while most haven't received it once. Some who tried to update their driver's license without the letter weren't able to. Oh, great. So it's just a big fucking mess, too. Jesus Christ. On May 5th, Chris Ripper, a trans woman, was stopped while driving home from work for failing to turn her headlights on in the rain. The police officer repeatedly asked why her license indicated that she was male. She explained that the law required it. Almost 2 months later, she found out that she had been charged with a misdemeanor for driving without a valid license. Ripper talked to another trans reporter about her predicament, but declined to speak with me. The charge was eventually dropped, but not before she was threatened with a $1,000 fine and jail time. In 1930s, a German Jewish jurist named Ernst Fraenkel developed a model he called the dual state. It is a state in which some people are subjected to increasingly restrictive laws that are applied arbitrarily, while others continue to live in regular rules-based society. Fraenkel referred to the former as the prerogative state, a state whose defining characteristics is the authorities' exercise of their prerogatives, and the latter is the normative state. Frankel's theory has enjoyed somewhat of a renaissance in the United States during Trump's second term, probably because it helps many Americans square their understanding of a rising autocracy with their subjective experience of daily life continuing as before. In Nazi Germany, the prerogative state was small. It encompassed some 600,000 Jews and an even smaller numbers of Roma and Sinti, homosexuals, members of the Communist Party, and the physically and mentally disabled. In the United States, Black people, Indigenous people, and many immigrants, at a minimum, have always experienced state power as arbitrary and violent. That's a much larger group. But even so, when the prerogative state expands, it shocks us. When a white U.S. citizen, here we go, this is it. When a white U.S. citizen is shot by an immigration agent, or when white people in Kansas wake up to find that they no longer have a valid ID, in a sense, to find that they are now undocumented in their own country. When SB 244 passed, McGoy started giving her patients letters to carry around, attesting to their gender-affirming treatment, including her nursing license number and contact information. She learned this approach from her husband, a Kenyan immigrant. Even though he has legally lived in the United States for 2 decades, until recently, he carried what McGoy describes as a giant accordion folder in his car, containing his immigration papers, his nurse practitioner diploma, their marriage license, photographs of their family, and more. It came in handy, McGoy said, when he was sundowned out of a town where he had gone to see a patient. She added, "I'm afraid that's where we're headed with our trans folks." It was striking to hear McGoy make that comparison, but this is part of the dual state effect. Shocking realization that you can suddenly be thrown into the category of people who can't drive down a country road without risking running afoul of the rules. And once you're in that category, you can't hide. Charles, for example, lives 25 miles from where he grew up. People here have known him since childhood. Many have either been supportive or quietly accepting of his transition. But that was before Kansas Attorney General and U.S. President declared a war on trans people. It worries me sometimes, Charles said. It's a rural area and everybody's got guns. This is a state created refugee crisis, said Samantha Boucher, a political organizer based in Denver. Boucher used to work in disaster relief. Some trans people overcompensate, she asked me by way of explaining why, before transitioning, she had done the manliest of jobs in the scariest of situations. When SB 244 passed, she called a friend, a straight cis man she had worked with on several disaster deployments, and together they started a rescue effort she named Operation Lifeboat. There's no public database of people in Kansas who are trans or who opted to change their gender markers, but it's possible to use publicly available information to find people who have legally changed their first names. Using this and other creative sleuthing, Operation Lifeboat did a text blast to roughly 30,000 people who were likely to be trans or friends of the trans community, and several hundred responded to ask Operation Lifeboat for help. I've written about many displaced people in different parts of the world. One thing I've learned is that the people who leave first are usually those who have resources, those who have connections elsewhere, those who have traveled. Generally speaking, these are not the people who are hit hardest by whatever disaster they're escaping. In Kansas, for example, it's the working class people who have jobs that require a driver's license, the people whose bathroom breaks are timed, people who can't afford to pay a fine if they're issued a citation, who are likely to feel the effects of SB 244 most acutely. The people who call us are usually flat broke and desperate, said Kira Richards, who is also based in Colorado and runs another organization for displaced trans people, the Transcontinental Pipeline. In November 2023, during an event for Transgender Day of Remembrance, an annual commemoration of victims of anti-trans violence, Richards and her friends noticed a lot of new arrivals. That year, state legislatures across the country considered a record-breaking 615 anti-trans laws and passed 87 of them, according to research organization Trans Legislation Tracker. In 2025, the group found that well over 1,000 anti-trans bills were considered and 126 passed. These included bathroom bills, gender marker bills, bills banning drag, books, and gender-inclusive language in schools, bills restricting access to gender-affirming care. So trans people and their families were leaving states like Texas, Utah, and Idaho. Many of them were moving next door to blue Colorado. And then I was standing on a picnic table saying, what if we created a welcome wagon? At the time, Richards, who is now 27, was working in the office of Colorado State Auditor. She began with research. And in the process, I learned it was how horrible it was in other places. I met a girl who just got in her car and started driving. This was a truck driver from Texas. Someone from Missouri got a one-way ticket to Denver, knowing no one there. Those people needed a lot more than a welcome wagon and temporary house. They needed help deciding where to settle. They needed transportation and temporary housing. They needed help finding doctors, schools, and other resources at their destination. Richards registered a nonprofit organization, quit her job, and started raising money by selling patches at punk music concerts. By June 2024, she had raised less than $6,000. Then Trump got reelected and donations started pouring in, along with requests for help. The Transcontinental Pipeline has now raised more than $1.5 million, employs 2 part-time staff members and dozens of volunteers. It's assisted some 400 people, almost 100 of them with what Richards calls full relocation, and it has helped 10 similar organizations get off the ground. Most of their clients, internally known as transplants, that's cute, left Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida, though since the passage of SB 244, a majority of cases have come from Kansas. Take, for example, D, A, and T, 3 trans men who asked me not to use their full names, who were part of a large polycule in Lawrence. When SB 244 passed, D said that he had to leave Kansas. He could not even contemplate being outed. A decided to go with him. T wasn't sure he was emotionally equipped to move. Everyone I care about is in Kansas, he told me. But then we were having a shitload of ice activity in tiny little Lawrence. I get around on a mobility scooter. I look vaguely Hispanic, even though I'm not, and I look clearly queer. It was T who filled out an application on the Transcontinental Pipeline website. A recent report conducted by the Williams Institute at the UCLA School of Law showed that almost half of the transgender Americans surveyed were considering leaving or had already left their state or the country. Most of them cited the anti-trans climate in their state Many can't leave, though. Tracy Bainey, the woman whose name change hearing I attended, can't leave because her 7-year-old daughter is in Kansas. Abby Boatman, the state legislator, has already had to start her life from scratch once, back in 2011 after the end of Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, but before the Obama administration allowed trans people to serve openly in the military. Boatman, who had been in the service for more than a decade, came out and was forced to take a medical discharge. Her wife took the kids and left. Only since last fall has Boatman had contact with her older child, and it has been exhilarating and as difficult as anything she could have imagined. In April, Boatman remarried. She met her wife at an ICE protest in 2018. They held the ceremony on the front porch in Wichita. This is where I've made my life, she told me on that same front porch. This is where I live. I don't think I should have to leave just because some Republican lawmakers think I don't belong here. Lawrence is a town full of cheap vintage shops and queer-friendly bars, a town where there are drag shows every week, a town where people making very little money can afford to live. And when they fall short, the community will reliably step in to cover the night's drinks or the month's rent. These are some of the things Siobhan Kirkstein loves about it. Her friends at Lawrence Pride, the mutual aid, the performance classes she takes with a drag king named Johnny Diablo, the queer pool tournament, which she has some excellent showings, and the life-work balance she has found here since dropping out of her master's program in religious studies and taking a job as a custodian in one of the lab buildings at the University of Kansas. 2 days after I interviewed Kirkstein at Harbor Lights, the bar that hosts the queer pool tournament, and just over 4 months after she got the letter about her driver's license, she got another letter. I'm reaching out to you from Human Resources in response to a report received that I have an obligation to follow up on. The report received was that you used a restroom in Parker Hall on the first floor in violation of Kansas Senate Bill 244 on June 22nd, 2026. Kirkstein was stunned. Everyone in the building, everyone she works with, the people she cleans up after, knows her. Everyone, she thought, had her back. At the beginning, the letter said, I wish to preface this email by acknowledging that this is a sensitive matter, and my intention in reaching out is to provide awareness of the report and the law and extend to you an opportunity to be heard, and if helpful, share resources. 3 paragraphs down, it said, regardless, please ensure you're adhering to SB 244. It reminded me of an extraordinary artifact on display at the Brown v. Board of Education Museum. It's a letter from the public schools of Topeka to one of the black teachers in the district. In anticipation of the Supreme Court ordering the desegregation of schools, it terminates her employment because, it says, white parents probably aren't going to want a black teacher in the classroom. I think I understand that all of you must be under considerable strain, and I sympathize with your uncertainties and inconveniences which you must experience, the letter said. It's the same way of putting a concerned face on dehumanizing demands that Kirkstein described as soft fascism the first time we spoke. Kirkstein's supervisor suggested she take the afternoon off. After a couple of hours, she made a decision. She forwarded the email she had received to me and a reporter at the Lawrence Times and left a request for representation on the website of the ACLU of Kansas. Then she headed over to Harbor Lights to figure out her next steps. She wasn't going anywhere. She was going to fight. Yeah. Thank you for letting me go through that. I'm really delighted to see M. Gesson weighing in on this. All right. I've totally missed everything you guys have been talking about. Yes, there you go. There are plenty of states where you wouldn't want to get a flat tire. That's for sure. I agree with that. Oh my God. Oh, that was terrible. That was so sad. Was that Bill Cosby's child changing a tire, or was that Michael Jordan's? I thought Michael Jordan's son got killed on the road. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Or get pulled over, yeah. Imagine getting a flat near Daisy's trailer. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't. Actually, she'd probably be fine in person. They're usually more blowhards online than they are in person. General Kazimir Pulaski, who founded the U.S. Cavalry, was transgender. There you go. Thanks, Jim. Yeah. Wow. Wowie, wow, wow. Wowie, wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, I'm so glad someone else is screaming about Kansas too. I mean, I know there's a lot of people screaming about Kansas, so sorry that was not the right thing to say, but I just really think that there needs to be a lot more conversation and indignance against the attack on trans people in this country. I think there needs to be a lot more noise about that. You know, like I don't know. I just think that's we're just marching down a really, really tough road. And it's just pushing us so much further back than I even could have imagined. Right? Like it just makes the world so much crueler than I thought it was going to be. And I know that, as someone in my position, white, you know, probably lower middle class, a little boomerish, um, I don't get affected directly by many of these things. And it's bizarre. Yeah, it's just like we're moving so far back. And I guess we were never forward to begin with. You know what I mean? Like I recognize that. I recognize that it's always been the way. Um, but this seems beyond, I don't know. This is just beyond the pale to me. I still can't wrap my head around that Kansas legislation. I can't wrap my head around what it's like to have your identity basically taken away from you. And like I don't know. I just think of the emotional distress and physical danger this puts people in. You know, you can be attacked in a bathroom. It's just I don't know. It's just really it's too much. It's too much. All right, let me check the headlines one more time before we go. I feel like there's so much more we're missing, but I'm glad we did what we did. Itchy nose. Y'all can get a flat near my. I would get a flat. I would. Okay, let's do a little headlines and then we're gonna wrap. Although I want to stay on, but I don't have anything else to share with you, so I shouldn't probably stay on. Okay, so this is the Tupac Shakur murder trial is happening. I forgot about that. Trump lashes out at allies. Deadline passes without a rondale. Guess what? We're going after Oman next. Get ready to learn about Oman because we're going after him. Child rapist. That guy raped children. Of course, Teresa. Thank you for sharing it. It's a child rapist right there. Punched a girl in the head. Punched a 13-year-old child in the head because she didn't give him anything. No, they're on their August break. And I don't think there's anything on cat videos. We could. I don't think there's anything until October for SCOTUS. There's orders and shit, but nothing to hear. Hold on. Wait, what was I going to check? Oh yeah. Yeah, I think both of them, yeah, they're all out. Yeah, they're not coming back until the 25th. Bitches. Lazy bitches. They're always off. I don't know. And they're not, like people are like, "Oh, well they're in their home things. They're in their home districts." Bullshit. They're not here in Los Angeles. I don't see them having any town halls. I don't see any town halls coming out right now. I think they're on vacation. Katie Fang strengthening credibility. Oh, I love Katie. Katie's doing a great job. Though your target audience probably doesn't know about that. And anyway, conditioned to reject judges. What's that mean? Last night I watched the Luke Beasley interview with Hunter Biden. Yeah. Hunter Biden. Yeah, well, apparently neither do Democrats, okay? Because we haven't had any town halls here in Los Angeles, so I don't know what's going on. Same time as Congress, right? What do you mean? Same time. The Katie Fang work strengthening credibility assessment, though your target audience probably doesn't know about that in any way conditioned to reject judges. I don't know what that means. I don't know what anything means anymore. I'm so stupid. Same time as Congress. Yeah, the Senate and the Senate and they're off until like at least the 25th, it looks like. The House is coming back on the 25th. When's the Senate coming back? Sometimes the Senate comes back earlier. Hold on, let's see. Scheduled hearings. Oh, okay. Well, that's stupid. Well, that's stupid. Yeah, there's nothing listed. Actually, they're having some kind of little system issue, but that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, I don't think they come back till next week. They'll come back to next week. Do they have the same schedule? I guess I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense to me. Iran is bracing for conflict. Kushner meets Netanyahu. Houthis claim strike on Saudi. Oh, Red Sea. We called that one too. We were like a month or so ago, we were like, why haven't the Houthis fucking bombed the Red Sea and closed that shit? Well, get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Oh, sick of AI slop. Yeah, I know. Here's the thing. This man is trying to break the world. It's the Mar-a-Lago Accord, and it's the national security strategy. When you combine those two documents, it's what's happening right now. I don't get it. Why are we acting like that's not happening? It hasn't been written down. And no other benefits unless they have a town hall every quarter. I mean, I'm telling you, there should be, if you're home, you can take a little time off. I'm not going to be mad about that. But you also need to fucking show up and talk to your fucking constituents. Because the blowfish cometh. Blowfish cometh. Let's see. Oh my God, it's Maggie Haberman. What's that? I don't need to hear from Maggie Haberman selling any more books. Okay, bitch. You've told me what your book is about. I don't need to hear any more. You are not the Trump whisperer. You know, you have been inside and sucking his dick, and now you wrote your book, and now you're just going around and, talking more about your book. I've already heard what I need to hear. Hello, Carla. Can you just go back in a food cart? Yeah. I'm sad about Hayden Panettiere. Really sad about that. Really unfortunate. I think I haven't read her memoir, but she does talk about her mental health and substance abuse, and I just really makes me sad that she went through that. Okay, hold on. Oh, ancient Korean paper making. That's cool. Why can't I do this? Termlets is a poison pill, in my opinion. The real issue is money in politics. I agree with this. I do agree with this. I don't think it's terrible to have someone who's been in office for a while. I don't think that's bad. But I agree with this. The money is the problem. The money is the big problem. I mean, yeah, I don't want a Chuck Grassley. I don't want the older generation to monopolize the Congress either, right? Yeah, why can't we have it all? I think we can. But yeah, I don't know. I do think getting money out of politics would be the really beautiful first move. I think a lot would change the minute you made it, illegal to take big money. I think that would make it. Every progressive except the newly elected would be out. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, meowing. all the oldies are progressives. It's true. Actually, there's some young progressives, but still, I think but the money to me. Oh, Someone's always gonna correct me. Someone's always correcting me too, J Rance. I get that all the time. But, yeah, I think the money is really a bad thing, man. I think money is just killing our whatever chance we have of kind of a political system, if you will. I don't know, I'm kind of interested. Yeah, no, I totally understand. You feel strongly against term limits. That's totally understandable. That's totally understandable. But, yeah, no, I think the money is really a big issue. And I think term limits are for people, who are, like, really ancient. I just think you do need to have some new blood come through Congress. It needs to reflect kind of it needs to reflect kind of the future. Yeah, I think it's sad. That made me sad. That made me sad. It makes me sad for anyone who just they cannot handle. I know that feeling, and it's really hard. I'm really sad. Um, but yeah, I know. I always get corrected. I live my life like that. It's all good. I really liked Bernie. He wants to fix that. Yeah, I know. And I mean, Bernie's good. What's her name? Uh, Warren, Elizabeth Warren's good. I mean, there are definitely some really good people. Steny Hoyer is actually even really good. He's still on it. But I do think it's good to, you know, yeah, take out the money and the older folks wouldn't be elected. Yeah, that's a good point. I just think money is really a big thing. I guess he was a bad dude too. Which one? Who was bad? Oh, Bernie. I mean, I don't know. I think that, I think no one is a monolith. And I think Bernie really has tried to pull the party left and pull the party into more progressive and stood up for people. I really have to admire how some of the Congress people are in their jobs and really can't win for losing. Um, some of the people in the Congress speak so eloquently about why things are wrong and I think of some of the younger people like Summer Lee and other people who are really representing parts of the population who haven't had a voice on that platform. Last yesterday, my gay cousin and his new baby via surrogate visited, and he had a CPAC shirt on. What? What? Why? Now that's an op. Okay, that's an op. Anyway, yeah. No, I don't. I no one is a monolith, and you know, I I I look at Bernie Sanders and I think I don't think he's what people say in terms of like, oh, he's like got some Russian influence and stuff like that. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. I think he's just an old curmudgeonly guy who's an old hippie and really has been fighting for economic the end of economic you know, K-shaped economies kind of thing. So I respect him for that. But you know what? No one's ever going to be our be all end all. Take it from me. Who sits here alone day after day. Bernie's crusade against big money in politics is what made my Reagan loving mom switch to D to vote for Sanders in his primary. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, no, I think he's been a really important voice. So I think there's a good, I do think that term limits are decent. I think that if somebody was a super, super good, senator or something, you could conceivably have it where they have to take a break and then they can come back and run again. I don't know. You could do a million different things because I understand wanting to have really good people. But then I also think, well, maybe it's the job of politicians to make sure they're bringing up the next generation of politicians and sharing wisdom and that there's a real like bench. You know what I mean? And I think there is a bench, by the way. I think the Democrats actually have a really strong bench of progressive, young, energetic representatives and senators. So I do think I have great hope for the future, but it's taking its fucking time. Taking your fucking time, are ya? Are ya? But yeah. Yeah, Jay, it's yes and. It's yes and. That's what I say. It's yes and. I think there's ways. I mean, I think there's always a way. There's always a way to make something better and more effective for people. It takes putting egos out of the way. It takes really putting the people impacted by the decision first. And that's hard, and it doesn't happen a lot. A lot. In fact, almost at all. It's like those solutions where the solution really works, but for some reason, no one's going to make enough money off of it, so they can't possibly go forward with that solution. And that's ridiculous, right? Anyway. All right. Well, I'm going to leave you 2.5 hours. I've given you a little bit of a morning start. Absolutely. Both of you do. Both of you do, because I am 100% on both sides. Both of you bring up really good points. That's why I love this group, because we have all kinds of ideas that come from this group. God damn it. And that is beautiful. This is a beautiful mix of humans, and I couldn't be happier. So thank you. Thank you, beautiful humans, for being so beautiful and so loving and so engaged. I just really admire you all for that. I just want you to know that. I really do. I really admire you for that. All right. I will see you tomorrow morning. 6:45. We're going to switch the time to 6:45 Pacific, 9:45 Eastern, everything inside and outside of that. And I'll be back. I hope you have a great day. If I don't see you tomorrow, I hope you have a great Tuesday. And we will have a documentary in Discord tomorrow night. So if you are part of the Discord, you're going to be part of that. If you aren't and you want to be, if you DM me on Discord, I can link you to our Discord. I love you too. All right. I'll see you guys later. I'll see you guys later. Okay, I love you. Bye.